Good morning, friends and family. Today we're going to prepare a chicken competition style. We also have a pork spare rib, St. Louis style. We're going to cut the chicken in half and have two whole half chickens and cook them that way. So we're going to cut it down the middle, remove the backbone, and then get it ready for the pit. After I get it split, I like to utilize a dry brine. What that consists of is just some of our Comp Dust chicken seasoning. So when I'm splitting a chicken, you want to get everything out of the cavity, remove everything out. I start with the breastplate. A good tool or a good tip for this is whenever you're splitting a chicken, it's imperative that you have a nice sharp knife. So now I'm going to start cutting back behind the rib plate, remove all those bones, get back to the backbone, get behind all those rib bones. We got a bunch of those. I use my hands, I'll dig in there a lot, kind of feel around a little bit. Before I make that initial cut through, I like to make the cut here first and follow the skin. That way I have more of the skin that I can use for the presentation of the chicken. So now that I got that skin, I can go ahead and come in here and finish making that final cut on the backbone. And when you're done, you'll have the backbone out. You'll have two whole half chickens. I go in a little bit deeper, so whenever it's time to box them up, I don't have to worry about these little bones, right? So there's a breastplate here. I'm gonna remove that. More breastplate there. Let's go and get that guy out of there. And here I'm just kind of cutting away from the breastplate. A little bit of knife, a little bit of pulling, trying to hug that region. There's a bone right here that you have to break. And then you'll expose some of that cartilage in that joint. Cut right through there. Again, a sharp knife is really important here. Those look pretty good. Then we'll go back and remove this breastplate. Trying to keep as much of the chicken intact. I don't want any jagged cuts. Just trying to get it to where it's easier to manage after the cook, because after I cook these two pieces, what I'll do is we'll cook them. Whichever one looks the best. Normally I cook, there'd be four of them, but after I'm done cooking, whichever one looks the best is going to be the presenter piece. The other pieces, I'm going to cut those up into bite-sized pieces and fill the box with it. So you want to cook both of them, and removing the bone in advance is going to help you trim up that piece so you're not dealing with the bone after it's cooked. All right, so now I have my two whole half chicken pieces separated. What I've done is I've pat dried them. I've cleaned up my cutting board. That's going to help allow the seasoning to adhere to the meat. I've used a wet brine, one with it. I've used a dry brine and one with that as well. I tend to like the dry brine a little bit more. I think the end quality looks a little bit better. So what I'm going to do here is just peel the skin back a bit. Use some of our Comp Dust chicken seasoning. Let it get inside the skin. Rub it down in there. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the breast to get underneath the skin. And I just pour a little pile there. And then I just use my fingers to rub it in there, make it a nice thin layer. Once I get that, I'm going to do the underside. A generous coat. Try to get all the pieces. Then I flip it over, and then I'll do the skin. I want to get underneath the wing, and I want to get all the pieces, right? I want to move underneath the the leg bone on top of the rib. And so that one's done, right? So we can allow it to go into a dry brine. What I'm going to do now is transfer these into aluminum pan, lightly cover them, and then we'll put them in the refrigerator, and we'll let them rest, preferably overnight, but you could do it in a few hours, 4 to 6 hours, you know, depending on what time you're working with. All right, we got the chicken on a wire rack resting in the garage fridge. Now we're going to start the St. Louis style ribs. I just like to do a little cut on the back side. There's always been the debate, do you want to remove the silver skin or should we leave it on there? I always say, hey, don't be lazy. Just go ahead and take it off. No, get a napkin, get a good bite on it, good hold. Get some of that underneath there. And I like to pull it off in one clean piece, right? So I'm using a big piece of napkin. Boom. Get it off of there. Let some of that skin penetrate. If typically there's a flap right here, I always like to remove that. We got a wonky piece here. So I'm gonna shape it up just a bit. We got some broken bone. So I'm gonna take all this off here, shape it up a bit, take some more off of that corner. I always take this last bone off. I'll hug it closer to the bone that's being removed. Allow some more meat on that end. Shape it up. And if it's diagonal, if you can see, if it's diagonal a little bit like that, that's okay because that's the direction of which the ribs are running. So that's fine with me. I usually spend a little bit of time here. You'll find a nice thin layer of fat. Some of that stuff's okay. Some of it I like to remove. These are not going to be going in the box anyway, so, oh yeah, there's a flap there. I don't want that. We'll take that off. Let's keep shaping it up. Okay, I don't like that end. Let's see what we got here. If you have some heavy fat, which is pretty common, I don't see as much in this slab. I usually cut that back a little bit. If there's some of the heavy fat on the backside, you know, I'll just remove some of that heavy stuff just like that. It's easy. Just bow it up a little bit right there. Run your knife over the top of the bone. Expose some more of that meat. That stuff's pretty thin. Take a little bit of that off. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with this. A little tight there. I always season the backside of it. Of course, we're going to be using comp dust pork for this. A generous amount, but not too heavy. And I like to sprinkle it a little bit higher to get a nice coat of all the seasonings, right? So I can see all of the flavors that are going to be part of this. Of course, you want to get your sides. Rub some of that in. We'll get this side. We'll get this side. Get the end piece. Pat some of that in there. Make sure that you got a nice even coverage. Looks like there's a little bit more here, but that's a red background. This is a lighter color, so it's going to appear that way. Once we get it where we want it, I'm going to flip it over to the top side, and I'm going to leave this alone until I put it on there. Whenever I'm doing pork ribs, I don't let them sit out 30 minutes max, right? We're just, there's a lot of flavor that's already in the pork, so there's no need to brine it overnight or anything like that. What you're looking for is a little bit of that salt. Once it starts sweating, it's ready for me. And we're gonna add, you know, butter, honey, brown sugar. We're gonna add some sauce to it, right? So it's gonna be a complex flavor bite. And what we're looking for right here is the ones right in the middle. That's what the judges are gonna eat. So if we can get that figured out, you know, the rest of these, you just give them to your friends or whoever's out there with you at the competition. All right. Hey, come in here and take a look at these ribs. They're starting to sweat a little bit. We can see a lot of those seasonings. Today is December 27th. We're near Houston, Texas. It's over 80 degrees. So it's good barbecue weather. We're wearing shorts and t-shirts, right? So here we have our ribs. The seasoning has been on it for about 30 minutes. We're starting to see it sweat a little bit. Where I have the thicker part of the meat, I want it closer to the hot side. I have my pit set at 260. Normally we cook these on our stick burners, but one of them is getting a new firebox. It's at the weld shop, and the other one, a friend of ours is borrowing it. So we're gonna have to settle for the pellet smoker today, but we should should get a similar result. So we got our ribs on here. The thicker side is gonna go towards the left. I'm gonna take the back corner because I want my chicken to cook a little bit hotter, which will be right over the pot. So we're going on there just like that. We'll come back in a little bit when we add the chicken. All right, so we're back by the pit. The chicken has been dry brining for a few hours. Let's come in and take a look at this. I like our Top Dust chicken seasoning. It's a little bit lighter, which is gonna help me with the end result at the end, because before we box these up, we're gonna add a little bit of sauce and get that color that everyone desires for that true competition style chicken. The ribs have been on here for about an hour. We're starting to see a little tightening up. We may spritz them in a moment, but let's focus on just getting the chicken on here first. So we have the quarter side. That's going to be your darker meat. That's going to tolerate the heat a little bit more. So if we know that the hot side is going to be on our left, I want to place the breast on the right and the thigh on the left, because it can tolerate that heat a little more. And when I put it on there, I want to make sure that my skin is resting nicely. A lot of times I'll pick up this chicken wing so I get consistent color. We can come back and look at that in a little bit. Sometimes they're a pain in the butt. All right, same thing. My white meat, my breast is going to be on the cooler side. I want to make sure that my skin is covering all the meat because it will tighten up. We'll break that, and now by breaking that wing and folding it back, I'm going to get a nice consistent color over all of the chicken, right? So all the meat's covered up, all the skin is tight. We'll let those run for about, I don't know, maybe an hour. We'll come back and take a look at them. In the meantime, I'm going to get something to spritz these ribs with.